faithfully delivering value and interpreting great books from around the world. Hello, this is Sally's Book Club. Today we'll explore the book Blue Ocean Strategy. Let's begin with a circus story. Circus is an ancient art form, and circus performances were once beloved worldwide. But those glory days are gone. Mobile games, TV, movies, and sports have stolen circus audiences. Many circuses closed, while historic ones barely survive. It's become a sunset industry. Against this backdrop, Canada's Cirque du Soleil emerged surprisingly. Charging several times more than regular circuses, it attracted massive global followings. Formed by street performers, Cirque du Soleil has drawn 180 million viewers worldwide since its founding. Amid circus decline, they elevated this art to new heights. Similar stories abound. While peers struggle, certain companies thrive spectacularly. How did they succeed? For answers, we turn to Blue Ocean Strategy, a classic business bestseller. Published in 2005 by Harvard Business Review Press, it gained global acclaim with 3.5 million copies sold in 43 languages. Authors W. Chan Kim and Renee Moborg, former INSEAD strategy professors and World Economic Forum members, published extensively in Harvard Business Review, Wall Street Journal, and Financial Times. They analyzed 150 strategic moves across 30 or more industries over a century to develop this framework. And both now at INSEAD, they focus exclusively on blue ocean strategy research. So what is blue ocean strategy? The book categorizes markets into red oceans and blue oceans. Red oceans represent saturated markets, no growth, shrinking size, cutthroat competition for existing customers. After all, when the pie doesn't grow, your rival's gain is your loss. Blue oceans signify untapped new markets. They feature massive growth potential, a whole new pie with few competitors. Consider this data illustrating blue ocean's value. The authors empirically studied 108 startups. 93 competed in existing red oceans. The other 15 explored blue oceans. Quantitative analysis showed red ocean firms contributed only 39% of total profits, while blue ocean firms accounted for 61%. Thus, blue ocean strategy means shifting from profit-thin red oceans to profit-rich blue oceans. Essentially, it's a strategy to unlock new market spaces. Planning for blue ocean strategy involves three parts: unlocking blue oceans, formulating plans, and designing business models. Next, I'll break each down for you. Finally, we'll cover how to ensure strategy execution. First, let's discuss unlocking blue oceans. The authors propose two dimensions: value innovation and expanding market boundaries. Let's start with the first dimension: value innovation. Traditional theory suggests two choices: low-cost strategies, creating low value at low cost, or differentiation strategies, offering unique features and services. The latter creates high value at high cost. You must choose one. That is, low cost and high value are incompatible. Value innovation, however, pursues both simultaneously. Every industry has basic competitive factors. For smartphones, these include chip performance, OS, screen size, foldability, camera resolution, facial recognition, fast charging, etc. These factors create value but also incur costs. Innovation involves reconfiguring these factors. This reconfiguration is called the 4 actions framework. Step 1. Eliminate factors that no longer create value. Step 2. Reduce low-value factors. Step 3. Enhance high-value factors. Step 4. Create new factors. The first 2 steps aim to reduce costs. The latter 2 seek new value sources. Now, back to Cirque du Soleil. See how they achieved value innovation through these steps?
In the circus market, then, 2 factors mattered most: animal acts and star performers.
These 2 items account for the bulk of circus costs. Raising and training animals, medical insurance, and transport expenses are all super pricey. And in recent years, with the global rise of animal protection movements, circuses have had to provide better living and working conditions for animals. Expenses have been climbing steadily, making animal performances the most costly part of circuses. On the flip side, hiring stars is also expensive but doesn't actually help boost audiences. The influence of circus stars can't hold a candle to film and TV stars. So, Cirque du Soleil ditched animal acts and star performers, slashing costs big time. Cirque du Soleil instead strengthened three traditional circus elements: the big tent, clowns, and acrobatics. Back then, many circuses gave up on tents, but Cirque du Soleil saw the big tent as a symbol of circus magic, not only keeping it, but also giving the interior a classical, luxurious makeover. They also used art and tech to make clown and acrobatic acts more refined and elegant. Finally, Cirque du Soleil created brand new elements. A traditional circus show usually has a bunch of unrelated themes, but Cirque du Soleil carefully crafted a storyline for each performance, giving it an imaginative plot. They also borrowed from opera and ballet, even figure skating, making it super artistic. Add in mind-blowing music, lighting, and multi-perspective stages. These elements offer a fresh entertainment style, blending circus with a lavish Broadway-style show. They drew in tons of adult audiences and business folks who were originally theatergoers. All right, value innovation, that's it for that part. Next, we'll cover the second dimension of unlocking blue oceans: expanding market boundaries. Looking at industry history, most blue oceans emerge by stretching the boundaries of existing red ocean markets. Now, for instance, Apple's iPhone expanded the phone market's boundaries, creating a blue ocean for touchscreen smartphones. Similarly, new energy vehicles expanded the auto industry's boundaries. The book's authors propose a six-way analysis framework, giving companies six paths to expand market boundaries. The first is absorbing competitive elements from substitute industries. Within an industry, products from different companies can substitute for each other. And, for example, in the airline industry, customers can choose Air China or China Southern. Competing within industry boundaries means grabbing business from peers.
Like Air China stealing customers from China Southern. But substitution doesn't just happen within industries, it exists between different industries too.
Such as airplanes versus trains, movies versus concerts. We should consider why customers choose substitute industry products and identify key factors. If we can provide these competitive elements, we expand the industry's boundaries. For instance, in the Cirque du Soleil story, many audiences weren't choosing between circuses, they chose movies, theater, etc. Key influencing factors included the greater imagination and artistry of films and dramas. Cirque du Soleil's approach was providing these elements, pulling theater and cinema audiences into the big circus tent. The second path for market expansion is merging different business types within the industry. In an industry, companies develop fixed business types. Finding strengths across types and merging them can create blue oceans. For example, Curves, a women's fitness company in the US, did exactly this. So back then, fitness market types were traditional co-ed gyms and home fitness programs, exercising at home with books and videos. Curves discovered that for American housewives, gyms offered motivation through group exercise but had unappealing services or equipment, while home workouts provided privacy but made consistency hard alone. So, Curves launched women-only mini centers, stripping traditional gym features to focus on private spaces for relaxed female interaction. Thus, Curves combined both models' strengths, achieving rapid growth with over 4,000 locations. The third path for market expansion is redefining buyer groups, as purchasing behavior relates to three groups. First, pursuers, those who pay for the product. Second, users, those who use the product. Third, influencers, those affecting purchase behavior like KOLs, opinion leaders, big Vs, etc. Sometimes all three groups are the same person. The customer is buyer, user, and uninfluenced by others. But more often, these groups differ, and companies typically focus only on end users. That's when pivoting to target the other two groups can unlock new market space.
For example, in health supplements, some companies tapped new markets by appealing to gift givers, focusing marketing on purchasers rather than users.
The fourth path is providing complementary products and services. Often, a product's value is shaped by related offerings. Like when choosing malls or restaurants, we consider parking convenience. Parking is a complementary service. Offering such complementary elements can drive new demand growth. The fifth path for market expansion is resetting functional versus emotional orientation. Some industries are function-driven, practical, others emotion-driven, experiential with add-ons.
Sometimes companies can break these conventions.
Flip the script. Take Japan's barber industry. Emotion-oriented men's cuts took an hour with shoulder massages, tea or coffee, and hair or skin treatments, causing long waits and high prices. For years, people assumed barbershops should operate this way.
Until a new chain broke conventions by eliminating emotional services to focus purely on haircuts.
Time dropped to 10 minutes. Prices fell by 2/3. Result, it attracted masses of working men, expanding to 200 locations in years. The sixth path for expanding boundaries is riding trends. Tech shifts, new lifestyles, or social changes. After spotting a trend, companies should ask, if this continues, what will the market look like? What new opportunities could emerge, like Apple creating iTunes Music Store in 2003, riding the digital music wave? In 2019, major manufacturers launched 5G phones, riding the wave of 5G communication technology. All right, that concludes part one. Companies can unlock blue oceans through value innovation and expanding market boundaries. Now we'll cover part two, how to formulate strategic plans. Traditional strategic plans involve mountains of documents, spreadsheets, and data details, often losing the big picture. In this book, the authors simplify it to two strategy canvases. A strategy canvas has Cartesian coordinates. The x-axis lists industry competitive factors. The y-axis shows value level. Plotting points for each factor and connecting them forms a value curve. K. Each value curve shape represents a distinct strategy. The first canvas shows the current state, plotting your firm's and competitors' value curves to visually reveal strategic weaknesses. We've included a simplified example in the listening notes. And a competitor has 5 factors all scored 90. Connecting them forms a horizontal line at 90. Ours are the same 5 factors at 60 each, forming a lower horizontal line.
Typically, such similar curves indicate red ocean competition.
The second canvas depicts the future strategic layout. Using the earlier frameworks, add or remove factors and adjust values to plot a new curve representing your future strategy. This curve will have 2 defining features. Vertically, values won't be uniform. They'll vary significantly. Focus stands out.
Horizontally, it'll be unique, containing different factors than competitors.
Overall, the curve shape diverges sharply from industry norms. For instance, Cirque du Soleil removed animal acts and star performers as competitive factors. Thus, on their curve, these scored 0, while competitors scored them high. Additionally, Cirque added new factors like theater, themes, and stage productions, assigning high values. On the curve, these new factors score high, while competitors score 0, visibly showing Cirque's distinct strategic profile. Creating the new strategy canvas isn't instant. Draft alternatives first, then have company executives and external judges vote for the most compelling option, explaining their choices. Companies refine the final plan using this feedback, but must ground it in frontline customer research during development. For example, what would draw Broadway audiences? Do fitness-minded women value privacy? How many working men actually want shoulder massages during haircuts? These aren't judgments you make from an office. Research shouldn't just cover current customers. It must include non-customers. Non-customers fall into 3 groups. First, those who occasionally buy but easily switch. Then, those who rarely buy but easily switch. And finally, those who rarely buy and easily switch. Like bookstore browsers who might buy online if there's no discount. Second, those who don't use your product but consider it, like a beer drinker thinking of trying wine. Third, those who've never considered buying your product at all. These non-customer groups differ from existing customers and from each other. But the authors say, focus first on commonalities. integrating needs of all groups to build the broadest customer base for your blue ocean. After all, no company wants to escape a red ocean only to land in a tiny puddle.
Too small a customer base can't sustain business growth.
Okay, that wraps up part 2. Next, part 3, designing the business model for your strategy. The business model's core is ensuring sustainable profits. Blue ocean business models involve 3 strategies: utility, pricing, and cost. Let's cover each. First, utility strategy. Profits start with customers willingly buying your product. So what drives purchase decisions? The authors say utility. Utility means how well your product or service satisfies customer needs. Offer exceptional utility, and customers will buy. Exceptional utility emerges from every stage: purchase, delivery, usage, maintenance to disposal. For example, during purchase, how long to find the product? Is the transaction secure? Is it quick? During maintenance, does it need pros, high cost, can it upgrade, etc.? Companies should focus on eliminating the biggest pain points at each stage. Take pre-Ford Model T America, over 100 automakers making luxury cars for the rich. But user experience had 2 huge barriers. First, inconvenience. Bad roads plus fragile luxury cars meant avoiding drives in rain or snow.
Second, repair risks, often requiring scarce, expensive professionals.
The revolutionary solution with admiration. Ford solved both. The Model T, first mass-market car, prioritized reliability and durability over luxury, handled muddy roads better, and was easy to fix, easing user concerns and driving massive sales. All right, that's utility strategy. Next, pricing strategy. Some companies start by targeting trend chasers who don't care about price, then gradually lower it. But the authors argue capturing the mass market from day one is more crucial. So how to set the right price? They designed the price corridor of the mass method in 2 steps. Step 1, find a broad price range. When launching a new product, customers compare its price to substitutes. So pricing must reference those alternatives. Specifically, 2 types. First, same function, but different form, like cars versus horse carriages, both transport. Second, different form and function, but same consumption purpose, like bars versus cinemas. Both serve evening entertainment despite differences. Combining price ranges of both substitute types gives the new products broad price corridor, ensuring maximum target customers. For instance, Ford Model T's pricing referenced passenger carriages. Back then, mass users could only afford carriages. Ford's pricing made them all target customers. Step 2, within that range, decide price level, high, medium, or low. High is ideal, but risks attracting copycats who will undercut your new market.
Solution: assess 2 factors: patent or copyright protection, and exclusive resources or capabilities that block competition.
Like heavy investment or lengthy development cycles. These act as moats. Strong in both, price high. Weak in both, price low. Mixed, mid-range. Pharmaceutical case study: new specialty drugs take years and billions to develop with patent protection, hence sky-high pricing. All right, that's pricing strategy covered. Finally, cost strategy. Blue ocean models set price first, then work backward to meet cost targets. This demands radical cost cutting within rigid ceilings. The book proposes 3 paths. First, simplify operations. Innovate to cut costs from production to sales. Cheaper materials, optimized processes, automation, labor savings. Ford's Model T offered just 1 model or color while replacing hand assembly with assembly lines.
This slashed labor by 60%, cutting production from 21 days to 4, enabling massive cost reductions.
This cost reduction allowed it to attract the mass market. Second path, seek partners. Leverage their strengths, scale for co-production, R&D, or sales. E.g., Germany's SAP partnered with Oracle for joint development, saving billions while gaining Oracle's central database. CP further collaborated with Accenture, etc., using their sales teams to save massive distribution costs. The third cost-cutting approach is changing the pricing model. The book suggests 3 ideas. First, shift from selling to leasing, critical for multi-million-dollar equipment unaffordable to SMEs. But leasing makes it affordable for them. Second, enable product sharing like NetJets, the world's largest private jet company, who split ownership of one jet company. who split ownership of one jet among 16 customers, each getting 50 flight hours annually. For frequent first-class business travelers, the cost difference becomes minimal. Third idea, profit-sharing arrangements. Gently, HP provided high-power servers to Silicon Valley startups in exchange for revenue shares. That concludes part 3. We've now covered Blue Ocean Strategy's full planning process. Finally, let's discuss ensuring strategy execution. The book introduces 2 methods: tipping point leadership and fair process. First, tipping point leadership. Execution typically faces 4 barriers. Cognitive, employees stuck in status quo. Resource barriers. Bigger strategic shifts need more resources, but companies have limits. Third, motivational barriers, lack of employee drive. Fourth, political barriers, vested interests resisting change. Each barrier involves many factors. Addressing them individually is slow. Delayed execution kills confidence. Solution? Focus on key leverage points. Tackle high-impact people and issues for quick wins that ignite company-wide energy. Let's see how tipping point leadership breaks each barrier. For cognitive barriers, research shows people remember and react best to first-hand experiences, not data or lectures. Instead of glossy strategy decks, take employees to the problem's front lines. For example, invite dissatisfied customers and distributors, let staff see their anger, hear complaints, and witness their praise for competitors. This usually works powerfully. For resource barriers, key is maximizing resource utilization. Every company has hotspots, projects needing few resources but offering big potential.
Other projects are cold spots, high resource input but low potential. Shifting resources from cold to hot spots boosts efficiency.
For motivational barriers, key is identifying influential internal figures and energizing them to lead.
Then spotlight their actions, making everything visible company-wide.
This sustains their motivation. The authors call this fishbowl management. Laggards become visible like fish in glass, while leaders shine brightly. Additionally, atomize strategic tasks into bite-sized goals everyone can tackle. Finally, overcoming political barriers. First, consult company insiders to identify landmines, supporters, and opponents. Then, recruit those who'll benefit most from the change as allies.
Move fast. Build the broadest alliance before battle starts, isolating opponents.
Finally, silence detractors and those disadvantaged by the change.
Key is anticipating their arguments and countering with facts. All right, that's tipping point leadership, a top-down method breaking organizational execution barriers. But true success requires genuine bottom-up buy-in, transforming compliance into voluntary collaboration. Strategic change pushes employees from comfort zones, sparking panic. E.g., is this just layoffs in disguise? Any distrust fuels resistance or sabotage. How to minimize this risk? Enter the second method, fair process. Fair process means involving affected employees during strategy formulation, incorporating their input, and clarifying rules during execution. Like, what are the standards? What penalties for underperformance, etc. Their process stems from procedural justice and sociology. In the 1970s, sociologists studied why people trust legal systems enough to comply voluntarily. Their research concluded that people care about both outcomes and the fairness of the process. Fair procedures increase satisfaction and support for results. Their process matters because it gives employees recognition. Everyone wants their value acknowledged and opinions valued. Management expert Frederick's research shows intrinsic motivation drives voluntary cooperation and strategic ownership. That concludes our coverage of this book. In short, Blue Ocean Strategy pioneers new market spaces.
Its planning has 3 parts. Unlock blue oceans by reconfiguring competitive factors and expanding market boundaries.
Second, use strategy canvases to formulate plans. Finally, apply 3 strategies to design the business model. Post-planning, use tipping point leadership and fair process to overcome barriers and build a culture of trust for execution. And, of course, blue oceans aren't permanent. Imitation and competition inevitably emerge. After unlocking a blue ocean, continuously improve operations and expand reach to outpace imitators.
When waters turn red, it's time to find your next blue ocean.
All right, that's our interpretation of Blue Ocean Strategy. Find listening notes below the audio. See you tomorrow.